So, Gary Stevenson from Gary's Economics has been doing the rounds, Diary of a CEO, Piers Morgan, and recently Question Time. And he's spreading the word about inequality and the need to tax wealth. I'm going to break down a series of clips and give my take. Let's get straight into it.
What do you think the solution or solutions might be?
We have to shift the tax system. We have a tax system which taxes ordinary working people 30, 40, 50, 60%, while people like the Duke of Westminster can inherit £10 billion and pay nothing. If you do that, wealth will be sucked out of the middle class. It's already been completely bankrupted the working class. It will bankrupt the government, which is what we are seeing. And there'll be poverty. There'll be broad poverty. There'll be no middle class left. Why are we taxing working people more than billionaires? Tax wealth, not work. Give these people a break. Give their kids a chance. Tax the billionaires. Of course you should.
All right, listen, you lock down the economy, OK? Ordinary family, my parents, how much their expenses decrease...
But are you arguing that the billionaires locked down the economy? I mean,
No, not all. I'm just trying to explain what happened, all right? You lock down the economy, OK? My parents, how much is their expenditure for? Basically nothing. Basically nothing, because their expenditure is entirely rent, mortgage, food, bills. Like, that's poor people's expenditure.
Right.
Whose expenditure falls during COVID?
The people who have normally would go out and spend a lot of money.
People who have a lot of luxury
So they
spending.
were spending,
Non-essential
they were
spending,
accumulating
right?
more money.
So if you ban luxury spending and you replace it with, as you say, government printed money, what's going to happen? That printed money is going to go to people who work in the service sector. They're going to use it to pay their bills. It's going to go to the rich people who own the corporations, who own the houses. Basically, a massive cash injection from the government through the poor to the rich. Listen, we saw the biggest and fastest ever transfer of wealth and increase in inequality in the history of our nations, and it was immediately followed by an inflationary crisis and a collapsing cost of living. This is the clearest proof you will ever need. You don't need me, somebody who's made millions of pounds betting on this. The clearest proof you will ever need of the absolutely bloody obvious fact that if you massively increase inequality, you will decrease living standards for working people.
I will agree 100%. It is difficult to tax rich people.
And the thing we need to talk about to sell this inequality, and I'm sure Gary talks about it at some point, is the wider picture of how inequality is really detrimental on society broadly. So, first of all, health measures. Mental health over the last 40 years has been a real issue. The fragmentation of communities, the atomization of the individual under neoliberalism has caused massive mental health crises, which impacts work. So when we talk about, we want to get people back to work, inequality is one of the ways, tackling inequality is one of the ways we do that. Increased obesity, strokes, heart attacks is correlated with inequality. Gambling, addiction, drug use, drug misuse, all again correlated to inequality. Teenage pregnancy, levels of distrust, levels of kind of people just don't talk to each other anymore, which we are social animals. And this is how we sell it, because it's not just about punishing the wealthy or spreading the wealth. No, it impacts everybody. And we see it in the UK. Jimmy the Giant did a video the other day where we have some of the highest levels of incarceration rates in Europe. It's been privatized, where there's an incentive to incarcerate people for longer sentences and more people. So you've got fatherless families, which again correlates to that kind of idea that people don't have role models, they're insecure. You've got that compounded by poverty, distrust, mental health conditions, ill health. People are really struggling. So everybody benefits from us tackling inequality, the people at the top and the people at the bottom. And it's in many ways a modest proposal to go, actually, look at when we were more equal in the 70s, when the average CEO earned about 30 times the average employee. Now it's up to 400 times. And studies suggest that often this isn't even justified. They're not necessarily adding 400 times the value. So we need to just embed it in a wider societal thing. This will help everybody. So many social ills emanate from inequality. The data is there. The data is in.
Yeah.
It is very, very, very difficult to tax rich
So
people.
the difference-
I don't come here saying I want to tax rich people because it's easy. I know it's hard. I know probably I'm going to lose. I know our viewers, kids, will live in desperate poverty. I know that. I do this because it is hard. If we are a country which says to ourselves, we don't try and do things which are necessary to keep our kids out of poverty because they are hard, then our kids will live in poverty. I don't need to be here. I'm a multimillionaire, just like you. I could be in the Philippines drinking pina coladas. I come in here because I come from a poor background, and it's ordinary families like my family, like the kids I grew up with, whose kids are going to be in poverty. It's difficult, but it is necessary. Sometimes we have to do things not because they're easy, but because they are hard. That is what makes a rich country rich, and that is what protects ordinary people. Listen, our grandparents lived in poverty. Did they say, let's not change it because it's hard? No, they didn't. They fought and they demanded healthcare, education, housing, food, and they got it. They got it.
So you
That's
think
why
we're
my
not demanding
parents
enough?
could live a good quality life. They got those things. They got those things, and they were aware that in order to do that, you could not allow the super rich who have been living lives of luxury for hundreds and hundreds of years to eat everything while ordinary families couldn't afford to feed their kids.
You will know as well as I.
That question, do you think we're not demanding of? Of course we're not. Of course we're not. We're not demanding that the wealthy pay their fair share. Like 14 years of austerity, a decimated public sector, our infrastructure is crumbling, schools are literally crumbling, NHS on its knees. Yes, we need to ask for more. But for the last 40 years, with the emasculation of trade unions and communities and the working class voice, we've been told, shut up. You don't have a voice. It comes from immigration debate, comes from the top, woke, trans, all this stuff like, and that guy's got the temerity to say, "Ooh, should people demand more?" Yes, they should. They should demand more, but we don't because we're told that XYZ is the problem, not the billionaires.
I do, that wealth taxes have been tried in a number of countries. Only Switzerland has stuck with it. I mean, they've got no capital gains tax, they've got no inheritance tax, they've got a slightly different situation.
Yeah.
But most countries have abandoned them because they don't bring in that much revenue. What makes you think it would be different here?
Fiona, we did it here. We did it here. We did it here in the 50s, the 60s.
God, she is just a mouthpiece for the establishment. Like, just a selective study, like, oh, a couple of countries. What is she talking about? Again, they...
60s, the 70s, and people like my dad, people like my granddad, who was a bus conductor, were able to buy houses, have financial security, have pensions, have retirements, go on holidays. We did it here. We did it here, and we're losing that now because we're not taxing the rich. The rich are getting richer, and ordinary families are losing the ability to buy houses, have kids. We can do it. We've done it before.
I worked really, really, really fucking hard, and I was the best student at one of the best universities in the best country, and I worked my tits off, and I got the best job, and I became the best trader. And what I made my money on was understanding that the British working class, the American working class, ordinary, hard-working people like my dad, like my mum, like the kids I grew up with, their kids and their grandkids would live in desperate poverty.
Well, what was the moment for you of self-realisation that you wanted to
Well,
get
you know,
out of it?
it's a good question because it didn't really come in a moment. You know, I mean, you spoke in the book about me sort of having a breakdown. You know, I didn't grow up. I'm not from a political. I don't consider myself a politician. Like for me,
No, I get it.
what I see, you know, I made that money and everybody around me was like, well done, here's $2 million, you know, do it again. Like, and I got sick. I got sick.
Well, what made you sick, do you think?
And in a way, we shouldn't even look at this as a political thing. Like the same way we shouldn't look at Trump and Elon Musk. Like just take the politics out of it. Like, what are they doing? What are these people? Who are they as people? They are not good people. So the idea, like, yes, it's political, the economy, what we tax, but that massive gap, and it's just getting wider and wider, and people at the bottom are just struggling more and more, and people at the top are just getting. Where's the breaking point when people go, actually, we need to do something? Like, we've been convinced by the media, the establishment, people like Piers Morgan, the tabloids, GB News, the Daily Mail, that, oh no, it's too far. They'll move out. They'll leave. Well, if they leave, we're better off without them. They don't care about us. It just shows you they don't care. So we need people who actually want to add value to the country, not just take. Because they are. Like, the average person is a maker. These people are just takers. These are the real people, the parasites in society. Not benefits claimants, not immigrants, the people at the top.
Was it the pace of work, or
It
was
was
it?
understanding that my country's going to fall apart, Piers. It's going to happen, Piers. Listen, I've been all right for 14 years on this, okay? It's going to happen. And you've made your predictions, you know. And I fucking hope I'm wrong, but I haven't been wrong before.
Allow them to not pay tax. And now
on,
we
the,
ask
on
them to
their
pay tax.
global incomes, on their global.
So isn't it a bit
businesses.
more like if we were 10 of us at dinner and there was one guy who came to dinner on the condition he wouldn't pay, then leaves? Because these guys weren't paying tax anyway. If the reason they left is because they weren't paying tax.
It's like saying, oh, hey, I'll pay 60% of this table, and they say at the table, hey, wait a second, we also want you to pay for everything that's happening at other restaurants as well.
Isn't it a bit more like these guys
And we're stretching
were
the
here
analogy.
on a condition? You yourself said
No, you're 100%
the
right.
reason why
Yeah.
they left is because we let them live here on the
taxes-
condition that they didn't have to pay taxes.
On their global, taxes matter, right? So why is everyone going to Dubai? Dubai, they're going there because there's no tax.
These guys, they live in Dubai, their money comes from the West. They are making money from the West while your average Western ordinary person watching this show now cannot afford to buy a house, cannot afford to have a family. We can tax those revenues at the point of sale. Why do we allow these guys?
It's called a consumption tax.
No, it's not. It's a tax on, profits.
You
It's
just
not
said,
a tax on
You
consumption.
just said at point of sale, which means it's a
Yeah,
consumption tax.
based on the profits. You look at how much profit
Well,
they
that's
have,
not- that's
and
not a
then you work
consumption
out where the profits go. Exactly, it's not a
Okay,
consumption tax, like I'm saying.
So if you tax profits,
Yeah.
right, then those profits have to accumulate in that.
We had a lesson on interest rates. I went up to the professor afterwards and I said, why do you think we've been so bad at predicting interest rates for so long? At that point, we'd incorrectly predicted interest rate rises 11 years in a row. He said, no, we always knew rates would stay zero, which is like categorically, provably wrong. And I was shocked. And I said, no, we didn't. We kept saying they'd go up. And he was like, no, we knew. So I went back to my flat and I sent him the data. And he was like, oh yeah, we did get it wrong 11 years in a row. These guys are so bad, they are unable to know that they're bad. I want your viewers to ask themselves, do I feel the richest I've ever been? Because I tell you who's the richest they've ever been, me, and probably you, and Donald Trump, and Elon Musk. And in my opinion, what I see, I'm from a poor background.
But I think
see it every day.
I think you're a great example of somebody who's made something of himself, come from a poor working class background by your own admission, and you turned yourself into the best trader in the world. You're a great example. And yet what you seem to be wanting to do is almost retreat
No,
from
listen,
your...
I don't want to
retreat from...
That's such a straw man. Like, they always do this. Like, if, again, survivorship bias, like this guy, he's talented, but he would have also been lucky as well. Like, there'd be plenty of people who did well in school, went to university, and didn't get the trading job, and didn't make the millions, didn't get the chances, they didn't have the contacts. So the idea that, oh, you're an example, most people will not have the chance to get the resources, the opportunities, the contacts, actually the confidence, the lucky break. We don't live in a meritocracy. Social mobility has stagnated objectively. And Piers Morgan is acting like, and these people do, and 50 years ago, maybe we did. At the height of capitalism in the 70s, you could come from university. A working class person could move up the ranks, become a politician, become a lawyer, a journalist. But it doesn't happen now. Most of those middle class jobs are kind of cut off from the working class. TV, law, doctors, journalism. They're all handed down from the parents. So this is a real problem. This is the challenge we face. But we're constantly talking about immigration, constantly talking about wokeness and trans and DEI. This is what we need to be talking about. And Gary's doing amazing work.
Well, I don't want to tax working people more. Okay? I worked hard to drag my family out of poverty, right? And I paid 50, 60% a year tax. At the same time, Duke of Westminster inherits £10 billion, more than 3,000 times what I made, pays nothing. Do you think that's fair?
No.
Do you think that's fair?
No, but again,
So let's change it. Let's change it. Let's tax working people less.
See, they know it's unfair, but they don't care. Like a lot of these people, again, successful people, they think it's justified. Like, oh, I earned this. I'm a hard worker. No, often these guys get lucky, or they were born into wealth. 60% of billionaires are born into wealth. Elon Musk, born into wealth. Donald Trump, born into wealth. These guys aren't talented. They're just lucky guys.
Your viewers less, and let's tax the billionaires more.
So there you go. Hit the like button if you want to help me on the fight to challenge inequality, the right-wing narrative that somehow people don't deserve more, somehow, it's stealing or the politics of envy or whatever they say about just asking for the wealthy to pay their fair share. And I'll see you in the next video.